The 2024 Mitre 10 Mega Masterton New Zealand Cycle Classic will once again see riders from across the world converge on Wairarapa for 5 days of international stage racing. The 37th edition has 15 teams which will compete on the roads around the Winery District before racing the final stage in New Zealand's capital, Wellington. Since its inception in 1988, the tour has seen several champions successfully compete at the highest levels of the sport. These have included the likes of Robbie McEwen, Julian Dean, Richie Porte, George Bennett and Corbin Strong. At the end of the week, who will add their name to the illustrious list of winners of New Zealand's only UCI 2.2 sanctioned race? As in previous editions, the longest stage of this year's tour would once again see numerous attempts by riders to escape off the front early into the stage, with a group of 4 finally being allowed to ride clear, gaining up to 2.5 minutes on the field at one stage. The quartet made the most of their time off the front, with Australian Liam White securing both King of the Mountains to ensure he was in the polka dot at the end of the day, while breakaway companion Campbell Pithy was awarded the MSC Most Combative. However, with under 20k to go, the peloton reeled in the brake before a number of teams started setting themselves up for the drive into the base of the short, sharp climb to the finish. Heading up the climb, it was the New Zealand national team that set up Commonwealth Games champion Aaron Gate for the move with 300 metres to go. Gate kicked clear to enjoy a comfortable victory and be crowned the first yellow jersey for the 2024 edition. Well, Nick, some excellent conditions today and expected another bunch kick.
Yeah, hopefully. It's pretty hot already, so it's going to be definitely hot out there today, and something to just keep carrying water on board to get the bunch kick at the end. Yeah.
Now, as a former winner of this particular stage, and that's you know what it's all about with those circuits around Martinborough, just talk us through what sort of goes on.
Yeah, it's a it's 122k, but it's still a very long stage with the circuits of Martinborough. You know, it's pretty easy to switch off around there, but you've really got to keep on your toes, and it's definitely a team day to day. If a break gets up the road, you know, you're going to rely on your team to bring back the break and present a bunch kick.
And the team will be pleased with the way things turned out yesterday?
Yeah, we gave it a nudge. Probably not as how we expected it to go, but you know, yeah, we've got plenty more options to fire this week, and that's the exciting part.
Now yourself, of course, and a few of the New Zealand endurance boys did a little bit of different preparation coming into this race.
Yeah, so I think this is day 6 for me, and I'm probably clicking over about 800 something K at the moment. So yeah, definitely was a tiring day yesterday. Feel a bit zapped today, but you know, if I get a sniff of the finish line, I think I'll be all right.
Fantastic conditions here going into the stage, and I guess it brings back good memories for you from last year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be pretty similar conditions as well with the wind. It's a beautiful day here today, but I think it's going to pick up as we get towards the finish. So yeah, hopefully a bit of deja vu.
And what are you expecting of this particular stage here?
For us, hopefully we get a small breakaway going. Obviously what Aaron in the leader's jersey. So yeah, it works out for us if there's a smaller group that goes, and yeah, this stage is pretty usually nailed on for a sprint, so hopefully that's the case again.
And let's talk a little bit about that sprint for the uninitiated. It's pretty hectic coming into that final straight.
Yeah, it's a super fast straight into that left-hander with about maybe 600, 700 metres to go into the finish. So yeah, it's going to be pretty crucial to be sort of top 10 wheels into that last corner, I think. It's going to be head cross, I think, on the finish straight there. So you don't want to be too far up, but you definitely want some bodies sheltering you before you launch that sprint.
Well, Mitchell, we've got another big stage on the tour here today, but a lot flatter than yesterday, so I guess different tactics for the teams.
Sprint day today normally, so we've got a pretty strong team for that, and a few boys who will get up there for the bunch kick. It's obviously going to be hot out there, so it's going to take a toll on everyone, so you know, just stay on top of that and it should be a good day.
And how was it yesterday? Of course, it's first major race of the season, very early on for everybody just to find those legs.
Yeah, it was a good one. The last week climb's always a bit of a shock. Managed to get up there for 10th, so hopefully flatter finish today. It might be a few spots up, ideally.
Blue skies, 28 degrees and some challenging winds will greet the field on today's 126km stage 2. Heading out of Masterton, the riders travel south through the rolling farmlands of Gladstone before cutting across the Winery District to Martinborough, where the 90 riders will complete 9 laps of a 7k circuit before finishing in the centre of the town. A day which often lends itself to an exciting bunch sprint for the enthusiastic crowd gathered in the town square. Outstanding conditions here today on day 2 of the New Zealand Cycle Classic. as these 90 riders roll out in the neutral section. There would be one of the favourites right there, the Keanu Watts, the winner of last year's stage here. He'll be keen to be in the mix there, as would the United States riders. Of course, as we've said, they've had a lot of travel over the last few days and are now just starting to get their legs right, and certainly by the end of this week would expect to see them in the mix, as they were trying yesterday, but that jet lag certainly can kick in as we see the usual attacks off the front of the race as riders try to attempt to get a break. Now this will be quite challenging here today given the conditions, but the winds are starting to pick up as they make their way along the roads out of Masterton through to Gladstone and eventually across into that winery district. Not too many lumps and bumps along the way, a relatively flat sort of a stage. So again, making it very challenging for these riders to do this. As we can see again, riders being reeled back in after an attempt off the front. That looks like there, Campbell Pithy is in the most aggressive jersey, and he's trying to stir things up early on, once again, as we typically see him do in any race that he's involved in here. Bailey O'Donnell on the front after an outstanding ride yesterday. He's in the green jersey, he was second overall, and he's of course now sitting second in the general classification, as Oxford Edge and Couplands get themselves on the front. Glenn Hayden, a well-renowned time trialist, he'd be a good man to have in any sort of a break, and these teams are well aware of it, as Mighty Q managed to get the numbers game right here, and they've got two riders, Sam Ritchie being one of those riders, as they make their way across here early on in the stage. And this is a good-looking sort of a group. New Zealand team managed to put up one of their riders up there. They'll be just, as you can see there, the gatekeeper, watching very closely here. They're not expected to have to roll. They've got the man in the yellow jersey. Hence why you won't see them putting on too much sort of pressure here, as a few more riders try to scramble across to what potentially I should say, could be a break here. But it looks like the peloton have decided, no, they've had enough of this. They've allowed them to have their time on the cameras. They'll bring them back into the fold, as the United States now starts to have a wee bit of a go here. Rider number 23, Anders Johnston. He's the man that's gone off the front, solo bid, and it looks like he's going to have no one to join him. This will be tough going for this man here from the United States, but it looks like he's decided, this is my time, have a bit of a crack at it. He's now joined by a few riders here. One of the New Zealand reps, once again, could be Christensen, I think, there this time round, that was sent up the front to keep an eye on things. Oxford Edge, once again, off to the front here with 1K to go here to the first of the KOMs. In fact, the only KOM of the day. And that's why we'll see one of the Keishi Parkoop riders here. He's starting to make a bit of a bid to pick up the points. He's not necessarily after the jersey here, but it's been a good move by the team from Australia here to put one of their teammates up there, because he picks up the points to defend his rider in the team who's currently already leading in the KOM after winning a couple of them yesterday. And speaking of KOM, the man on the front, Camden Fiend, a man last year who actually took out the KOM overall when it came to the conclusion of the week-long worth of racing. Good gap opening up now at 2 minutes 30, and no surprises, you see the national team, as you would expect. They've got the man in yellow, so they've been asked by the peloton, it's your race at the moment. If you want to take it, you're going to have to go on the front and do the majority of the work here. As our three teams, Couplands up there, we see Oxford Edge on the very front there with Camden, as a well-performed rider, and of course one of the Australian riders in there in the mix as well, as we said, from Keishi Parkoop, and it's Taylor Lane Welsh. And they're a well-performed team. Of course, they're the former Oliver's Racing team, very successful over the last 6 editions of this tour. They've had a couple of stage victories. They've been in yellow. They've won the KOM, the under-23. So they know what this race is all about, as we see the first of the sprints on the small circuit around Martinborough as the crowd starts to build here in the town square. And it looks like there's only 2 riders that are going to have a crack at it. I think Camden may have just got the nod of approval from the judges to pick up those early points there. 2 minutes now. It's going to hover a bit here. We're getting closer to the finish of the race. Remember, there are 9 laps of the 7K circuit for these 3 riders, who have now been out in front for quite a considerable amount of time. And I think the faces are starting to show that they're out on that heat. We're reaching up to 28 odd degrees here. It's scorching around this winery district. Beautiful part of the country here in the Wairarapa, as part of New Zealand. If you've never been here before, it certainly needs to be on your bucket list, as these guys make their way down towards all those various wineries. They'd love to stop and have a drink, I'm sure, but meanwhile they know they're being chased down hard, and they would expect to see exactly what we're seeing here now, with the man in yellow and his team on the front. You can also see the Mitre Q team. They're lining themselves up. New Zealand Cycle Project. They've got the likes of Hayden Strong, a good wee sprinter in there. Sam Ritchie, another one that knows how to have a decent sort of a sprint as well, lining themselves up right in behind the national team. And it is the man in yellow who's been put on the front. He is in domestique mode. He said, thanks very much, teammates, yesterday at 1:44. It's my turn to repay you guys and put the effort in on the front as well. So they're not afraid to do the hard yards here. Aaron Gate, as he drives things through that town square there, they'll be well aware of the time gaps, but they have to time it to perfection because it is tough conditions out there, as you can see in the trees. The wind is blowing, and these three are starting to struggle a wee bit there as they make their way down another one of the long straights here. Sort of a rectangular sort of a block for these riders. They come back through the township. Plenty of support here from the crowds around Martin. People have come out from all around the district, across from Wellington, and even a few from across the country to witness this particular stage here. They'll be getting plenty of time checks from the officials, hoping that they can hold these guys at bay. Not an easy thing to do, and nothing really changing in terms of the order of the main peloton. Can they time it to perfection, as we have seen numerous times over the years in this particular stage? But yes, the faces, as we now see only two faces out in front here, with the Australian and the Kiwi off the front, as the time starts to fall away. And these riders now reshuffle themselves into position here as the leading two come up into the finishing straight and get ready for yet more sprint points. And it is the Oxford Edge rider who looks like he's going to outdo the Australian here and pick himself up maximum points here for the Wiz Wireless Sprint Ace. That's the green jersey, of course. As they have a look over their shoulder, they can see a rider coming across. It looks like a Couplands rider, and I think it is, and it's Keegan Hornblow, a New Zealand representative. That's a fine effort. He's waited till he could see them in the distance, close enough, has done a huge effort to jump across to these guys here and now team up to try and see if he can contribute to ensure that they keep the rest of this field at bay. It's going to be a tough ask, as you can see them in the distance. They're not out of sight, out of mind. In fact, it's the complete and utter opposite there, and that's why you can see things have eased off slightly in the main peloton as they can see their prey not too far down the road here, making their way around into the closing stages here of the second stage of the tour, through the finishing line. These riders are looking very good out in front, but man, that's a lot of effort happening back in that main peloton and a lot of firepower still waiting as we see Curry on the front, a man who's just signed up with one of the World Tour teams here. We've mentioned him before, to have that sort of firepower available to you. As we said, these guys, particularly two of them, have had a long day out in front here as they prepare for yet another sprint. Keegan won't be too concerned by this here. He knows what they're after. They've already picked up early points as we see the lap board come up. 3 laps now remaining for them as they go on through, and still that yellow jersey right up near the front. Pista Corsa about 2/3 of the way back. Mitre Q slipping back towards the back there. They've decided they'll just regroup, look at things, how they're going to go, as Keegan Hornblow decides to go. This is a man who, of course, won a stage, the first stage in this tour last year, has gone off the front here and has decided, I think, that the fatigue has been too much for those other two riders. I've used them to the best of my ability here. It is now time for me to go solo and see if this could be a winning move. It's a great gamble to watch, and the crowds will be absolutely loving it here and egging this young man on from Nelson Marlborough region. As I said, part of that New Zealand track squad. He's going to be heading over to the Nations Cup in Adelaide in a few weeks' time, getting a few more miles into the legs here as he makes his way down this finishing straight, approaching the bell lap. As he goes on through here, he has still got himself a little bit of a distance of around about 27 to 30 seconds on the main field, as you can see them rocketing on through. And there's been a few adjustments as riders are now moving themselves forward. St. George team in particular, you can see them, the Continental team, moving themselves up towards the front, in behind the national team. Of course, they've got the likes of Nick Kyrgyzstan, a former winner 2 years ago in this particular stage. So along with Kean Watts, as we said at the top of the show here, they would be a couple of favourites in terms of the sprinters today. An opportunity for them, because they know tomorrow it's all uphill. So today's the day that the sprinters will be licking the lips, wanting to having a massive bunch kick. But there's one guy here who wants to upset the party, Keegan Hornblow, and you can see he is desperately trying to get as much out of the legs here. As they hit into it, you can see the official with the bell, the typical way in cycling to indicate 1 lap to go. And that time is dramatically dropping. Oh, it looks like around 15 to 20 seconds there. It could be enough if they start looking at each other, if they start to hesitate. But I tell you what, there's a lot of experience on the front of it here. They'll leave them hanging out there for as long as possible. It's a cruel way to lose a race, but you've got to give it a go. You've got to chance your arm, and we're seeing a great ride here by Keegan, trying to do it here for the Couplands team here, but it looks like it's all to no avail in the end here, as we can see the man in yellow and his teammates surrounding, coming forward, as his team looks like one of the teams from Australia, and that's there as well in the blue colours, and that's as well as we've got a number of others like St. George's we've already mentioned coming up into it there. We can see also the Southern Racing Academy in the light tealy sort of blue colours as well. So everyone now trying to jostle themselves into some sort of a position. Quality Food Southland, they've got a couple of decent sort of sprinters as they go into the final lap. It's tight. Oh, we see a few head off into the trees there. Unfortunately, they won't get themselves back into play here because we're coming down to the last K&a-half here. Very tight into the corner. Everybody wanted to be in the top positions, and unfortunately I would say we've lost a few of the key riders here further back as they now kick into it with 400 metres to go, and it's Gate who pulls on over and he drops a couple of his teammates off. It looks like Kean Watts and George Jackson going to line. Oh, she's a tight one, but on the inside, 2 years running, Kean Watts takes out the stage into Martinborough there, very tight from his own teammates, George Jackson, to secure a third, and one of our Australians and they're securing a third place across the line. But it's all about the national team here, who clearly, after an outstanding lead out by their team, and in particular the tour leader with 150 metres to go, take out the stage.
Well, Kean, we know there's always plenty of plans coming into a stage, but it's great when it all works out.
Yeah, I couldn't have gone much better, to be honest, on New Zealand, the New Zealand team side of it. Yeah, we kept that break on a fairly short leash. We're happy with the numbers, you know, only 3 guys up there at one time. So yeah, we're really happy with it. Similar conditions to last year, so when you sort of roughly what to do.
And how good having the tour leader, your teammates, dropping you guys off with about 150 to go.
Yeah. When he does that, you see the yellow jersey pulling for you. You know, you can only be inspired.
So the team's got to be pretty pleased with the way things went today.
Yeah, no, we're really pleased. We've had an aggressive start to the race. We've had a couple of top 5 finishes on both of the stages, and then we've now got the young rider jersey, the KOM jersey, and we had the most aggressive today. So we can't complain.
Now, does that change dynamics when you've got so many jerseys and you're in the mix for so many things? I guess some decisions have to be made.
Yeah, look, I think we're a pretty well-rounded team, so we've got all options for all stages, and at the moment we're in a really good position. Like, we've got multiple guys now up on the KOM jersey, so we can do that. We can play that role, and it kind of takes pressure off one particular guy.
And let's talk a little bit about tomorrow. Of course, we go from the fast finish here into Martinborough, the flat for the sprints. Now we're heading uphill into Admiral's Hill.
Yeah, so different parkour tomorrow. As I said, today is basically almost pan flat, and then tomorrow is a really tough finish in Admiral Hill. We've got a couple of guys that we're looking for the GC, so hopefully their legs are good, and then maybe one of us can slip in a move at an early move. So look, we'll just see. We'll play day by day. And
well, Aaron, it worked out perfectly for the team today.
Yeah, definitely can't complain. It was managed to stick to the plan, keep the breakaway that went relatively small and in check, but they definitely didn't lack firepower, so it took a bit of work, and all 4 of us rotating to look after GJ and Kean for the last sprint, and then I just had to try and set them up in that last straight, and yeah, just kind of worked out perfectly. I was unfortunate to hear there was a crash just behind us, so hopefully everyone didn't lose too much skin and can fight again tomorrow.
And of course, there's a lot of unknown factors there with some of the international guys, and they've been talking it up about this climb tomorrow, and that do you expect to see a few new faces to the front?
Yeah, I think so, especially when, you know, the guys that have flown in from far and wide sort of take a couple of days to get their legs going again, and so tomorrow might be the day we finally see them come to the foray.
And finally, of course, you're wearing the Wiz Wireless Sprint Ace jersey as well, getting a bit of stick from the sprinters.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I held on to that one today, but we'll see. Maybe I have to go for an intermediate tomorrow and keep the points up.
Well, congratulations to you and the team today. Outstanding effort, and we'll look forward to seeing in action tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you very much. Looking forward to it.